3 years ago today, Skip Schumaker had never managed a game. So how did he get where he's gotten so fast? We've got some answers for you coming up on the DLLS Rangers podcast. Yeah, the Rangers front office, Chris Young and the rest are betting that he can fix this. Hi there, and welcome into the DLLS Sports Studios. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. John Radigan, Jeff Wilson, the Queen over there, asking the poignant questions like, can he fix this? Let's find out. We'll still await word. We are still awaiting word for when he will be officially introduced via a press conference, but soon, we're sure. And, there's a lot to fix here, Jeff. But amazingly, when you look at what he did and how he got here, he's kind of fixed stuff like this before once.
Yeah, the Marlins were a 93-loss team in 2022 when Skip was hired to take over. And, he wanted to build a foundation of a winning culture. Well, they all want to build a winning culture.
They do.
So how does it happen? And you need to have winning players. That's first and foremost. And trying to think back to that club, and they had some nice guys, some nice players, and they pitched it well. Yeah, that was the key. They really pitched, and pitching and defense win championships, except when you have one of the worst offenses in the league. Hello, Texas Rangers.
Yeah, and the reality is that was that team. That team had a negative run differential. That team had a record of 12 straight one-run wins to start the season. In fact, they went 12-0 in their first one-run win or one-run games, and that set a major league record for the most in a row, especially to start a season. So he was really good in those situations, and that sounds so familiar, right, to everything and the Rangers weren't good in those situations this year. Now, again, it's so who knows if he'd been able to do it with this group this year? Who knows? But there is a track record there that he was able to do that, and as it pertains to setting that culture. And that's like you say, every manager, every coach, every guy I've ever heard in a press conference always talks about that, right? The culture, the camaraderie, the team, the teamwork. But that team, after losing, as Jeff said, 93 games in 2022, was 14 games over 500 by the All-Star break, right? They shot out of the gates. Sandy Alcantara, probably their best player, for sure their best pitcher at the time, was just praising the work of what Skip Schumaker had done to completely convert and change the culture in that room, in that clubhouse so quickly. Then they came out of the break and lost 8 straight, Jeff. And by August 30th, they were a game under 500. So they were 16 under 500 in like 6 weeks. Yeah. After amassing a nice record to the All-Star break. But then in September, they went 18-9 and then, barely, just snuck in. They were the third wild card, but they were in. And, it's very, very reminiscent of what the Rangers had this year. Obviously, they aren't coming from a 93-loss, terrible season. Nobody expected anything out of them. They were the opposite of that. But right there at the end of the season, you're sitting there on the precipice of possibly making the playoffs, and Schumaker got the team, that year, the Marlins, across the finish line. Now, they didn't go very far. They were swept in the first round by the Phillies, but they got there.
Well, and you got to have something going right in the clubhouse when you fall apart like that
and
then come back.
Yep.
And some of that could be the manager, and some of it could be maybe a veteran or two who turned it around, and then some pitchers who maybe got hot, like 23. Alcantara had a down year. He was dealing with what turned into an injury. Tommy John surgery the year after he won the Cy Young. They also had Jesus Luzardo, who was a good pitcher, and they had a nice pitching staff that is always nice to fall back on. And the Rangers have that in place too.
They do.
And
they do.
For all the talk about what the young guys did for the team, the Rangers of this year, Rangers were still pitching the heck out of it.
Yeah.
And so when you have a good pitcher going to the mound, it takes pressure off the offense. For one. So maybe that helped get the 2023 Marlins straightened out. So it's going to be interesting to see how it comes together, and Skip's going to have to choose his words carefully, I think, at the presser, when he is introduced, because he says he wants to build a winning culture. It's going to piss some guys off.
Yeah, they just won.
Because what Marcus Semien said before the end of the season, where he wants to play with guys who want to win championships. Whether he intended to insult anybody or point anybody out or not, people were offended by that on the team. So there are people who are like, "Hey, I want to win."
Yeah, I think we all want to win, Marcus.
But so something was missing. I really think that a couple more things pulling from Friday. Chris Young, he talked about, he kind of defended Marcus, like a lot of there's some merit to what he said. And then he said, I don't think Marcus meant to offend anybody. And so there's that. And then he also said, which I thought was interesting, he talked about the young guys, because I asked him, what does a young roster look like to you? And he mentioned all these names. And then he goes, I think the thing that we realize, though, is that it's good to have young players on the roster. So it's an energy thing. But it also kind of spoke to, there might have been some stagnation within the clubhouse. So maybe Skip jumpstarts something, like he's Rangers battery needs a jump,
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
Cables.
But it sure seems like there, just the further we kind of get away from it, the more we learn about Skip, it just seems like that, whether the Rangers are willing to admit it or not, there's a chemistry thing that needs to be sorted out.
Yeah, they don't want to admit that at all, and we're reluctant to even acknowledge a problem. Although ultimately, I think CY did on Friday, but down to Jeff's point, downplayed the Marcus Semien thing, suggesting that you have to know the full context, and I'm not sure the players care about, the other players care about the full context. They heard what they heard, and nobody wants to hear things like that. And that's something truly. If Marcus is going to say, he needs to say to those guys, right, that he might think aren't trying to win, which all of them are. So anyway, that's a challenge now. That's a challenge for Skip Schumaker, and it's one that, as we say, he's dealt with before. And he was simpatico with his GM there that year too, and Kim Ng, and she got Jake Berger and Josh Bell at the trade deadline, right?
Yeah.
So they bolstered the troops, and I think
David Robertson.
And David Robertson,
yeah.
That's right. And she did a really good job. And again, the owner, when he was asked real early, but actually I looked online. I was doing a deeper dive today at an interview with him at the night that they clinched, and he said he knew within 2 hours of meeting Schumaker, this is going to be our manager, right? And it sounds a little bit like we remember being surprised by Ron Washington, right? And John Daniels says, oh my gosh, he came in there and just blew us away. And then it didn't take us long to figure out why. And I think that the people in Miami found the same thing with Skip. He's one of only 10 managers to have won Manager of the Year in baseball history, one of only 10 to have won Manager of the Year in his first full year as a manager.
Yeah, he comes highly regarded in those circles, and if you want to do a little more research on this, his first coaching situation, was with the Padres. All right, who runs the Padres? A bunch of former Rangers.
Yep.
In 2020, he was the Padres bench coach to Jace Tingler, who had left the Rangers to become Padres manager. So there's a lot of resources the Rangers can call on and say, hey, tell me about Skip Schumaker. And they're going to get obviously some favorable responses, but they would get the truth about him too. His next coaching venture was 2022 with the Cardinals as their bench coach. And he and Mike Maddox hit it off. So there's some feel good there. So I'm sure it's more than just going on reputation that the Rangers decided to hire Skip late last offseason, and then, or I don't even know if it was late last offseason, in the offseason, and then going ahead and making him the manager to replace a guy who won the only World Series in franchise history and has won 3 others and 6th all-time in manager wins. So I think Skip has some talent.
No doubt. Yeah. No doubt. And look, I mean, again, I've said it, I've been on record. I still don't like letting this guy, Bruce Bochy, who's a Hall of Famer, go when he still wanted to do this. That said, I always love to see the team that, I'm covering or that I like grab that next up-and-coming manager or coach as opposed to like a retread, right? Yeah. And it appears that Skip Schumaker is absolutely that. He's that guy that's arrow is pointed straight up as a manager. Now, we'll see. I mean, he's got a challenge here, and things can change quickly in baseball. But I feel like what he did in that first year when he had great synergy with the front office and ownership and the whole thing in Miami is certainly, it's a portend that things could happen really well here, because obviously, having worked with CY all season long, we talked about it yesterday. They said they talked almost every day all season, even when he wasn't here. So, there's a real good synergistic relationship happening there, which is important, and especially in this day and age between the GM, the president of baseball operations, and the manager.
Right, and then Chris Young also said that the number one, the most important relationship with the manager is with the pitching coach.
Yes,
and so we'll see what comes of all of that. You would think that if Mike Maddox wants to come back, that he would be have a pretty darn good resume.
Right.
That if he doesn't come back, you'd be like, what's going on here? And so we'll await that. It should happen quickly. I'm sure they've pulled a lot of it together already. You would think they have, and like Chris Young said, they're all in good standing. Okay, yeah. Well, Bobby Wilson's not coming back,
right? And
I think he wanted to come back.
Yeah, seems like it.
Was he? So does that mean they're all in good standing? They're all welcome back. Well, are they welcome back in a different role? Do you want them to? Did you want Bobby Wilson to become the, I don't know, the manager
the overall catching coordinator?
They already have one of those. Do you want Bobby Wilson to become a special assistant, a role he wouldn't want? And so, will that happen to anybody else on the coaching staff? Because would they offer Tony Beasley, the minor league outfield instructor? I don't know. I don't know if Tony Beasley would want that job. So we're going to have to wait and see how these things play out. But I'd reached out to 2 guys yesterday. I'm not going to name them, and they both said that they have not heard anything from the team yet. So we'll again wait and see.
Let's talk more about this coaching situation and maybe run through some of the guys, even deeper that will or won't still be with the team next year as we continue on the DLLS Rangers podcast. But I got to tell you honestly, I really believe if you're watching this show right now, you need a pair of new sunglasses. In fact, I think everybody always needs a new pair of sunglasses because, man, there's nothing like putting on a brand new pair of shades. They're perfectly clear and they, knock that glare down and they're so awesome and you feel good when you're wearing them and you're thinking, yeah, that's great, but I'm not going three figures, for a pair of shades. I'm not going to do that. I might lose them. I might break them. Here's the good news. Shady Rays, you don't have to go three figures, not even close, especially not with our 35% off deal, right? So get some Shady Rays. They're fantastic looking, and they're cheaper at a much greater price point than most of the other big name ones, and yet they're basically the same shades or better. And break them, lose them, Shady Rays fixes or replaces them. ShadyRays.com, DLLS 35 for 35% off.
Yeah, and this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, which is daily fantasy stuff, and I absolutely love it. I play it every day. If I get Logan Gilbert to strike out, I think it's more than 6.5 batters today.
Well, it's probably a pretty good chance.
I'm gonna cash a little lineup that I made last night with two other baseball picks. Anywho, it's real simple. You get to make a lineup of 2 to 6 players, and whether they will go over or under a certain stat. So for Thursday night's NFL game, for instance, will Jalen Hurts throw more than 0.5 touchdowns? Probably. Will Saquon Barkley rush or receive or catch more than 0.5 touchdown passes? Those are the friendly wagers. You can get a little harder odds, better odds. But anyway, Prize Picks is the place to be if you're into this daily fantasy stuff, which Lord knows I now am. So download the app today. Use the code DLS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code DLS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right.
Okay, so the coaching priorities are many, right? We know, and we've talked about Mike Maddox just really needs to be a priority. We've seen it in the chat. We've seen it everywhere. We're pretty confident that the organization loves Mike Maddox and hopeful, because we like him and love him, that he'll be back. The one we know won't be, Jeff mentioned last segment, is Bobby Wilson, who was also very well liked in this organization. And like Jeff said, maybe they had decided, you could do something else here, Bobby, but we have someone else in mind, or, Skip in this case has someone else in mind to be the catching coordinator on the big league club. And really, that would not be anything against Bobby because, again, we were told Friday, all of the coaches were in good standing. The season ended. They were all in good standing with the organization. But saw a little note that on Skip's staff in 2023 and 2024, his quality assurance coach was Rod Barajas, the former Rangers catcher who also caught for several other teams, but and actually had a great year in 2004 for the Rangers. He set career highs for average and home runs and games caught. He caught over 100 games that year. It was a year that Gerald Laird and he were going to tag team it.
Oh, Gerald Laird.
Gerald, one man, 5 tools. Gerald, that's why he wore 15. One man, 5 tools. He was a fun guy, and so was Rod. And anyway, Rod filled in, like I say, most of the year. 108 games he caught that year, and had a career high in home runs, career high in batting average, and really had a great year and established himself that year as a big league catcher. Stayed around a couple more years with the Rangers, and then bounced around the league, and then Rod pretty quickly got into coaching, where he was in that Padres organization. He managed the San Antonio Missions.
Ooh, the Mission.
He managed the El Paso Chihuahuas.
Nice.
He's been all over the state of Texas. And then he got to the bench coach, to become the bench coach of the Padres in 2018. And then he was an interim manager for the Padres right at the end of the 19 season. So Rod Barajas the point is, he has a lot of experience, certainly at the minor league level as a manager, but also at the big league level as a coach.
Yeah, he sounds like an easy fit, and you always look back at these past the coaching staffs that Skip Schumaker either had in the Marlins or was a part of with the Cardinals, Padres, and that makes sense. Mel Stottlemyre Jr. was his pitching coach in 23 and 24 of the Marlins. I don't know if that one makes sense. Mel is even though he's a junior, he's now 61, so he's only mildly younger than Mike Maddox, and he's been with a couple different clubs and has been okay. And like I said, those Padres staffs, they've all turned over a lot, but Jace Tingler, pretty good guy, but a bench coach for the mighty Rangers was Skip's bench coach, Luis Urieta, in Miami. So he's got a guy in place already. Rod would be another guy. I do wonder if Nick Hundley, and somebody asked about this right off the top, Nick Hundley, who has been a Rangers special advisor to baseball operations, I think was his title this year, senior, same title I think as Skip, and he's apparently drawn interest from the Giants to be their manager. I wonder if the Rangers if he doesn't get the job, the Rangers move to maybe put Nick on the staff.
Yes, and again, he's a former
catcher.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and he's a confidant of Chris Young. So anyway, I think that's a possibility as we look ahead. But as far as let's say Mike Maddox doesn't come, I would think then that you look at the guys who are on the staff this year. Bullpen coach was Jordan Teagues, and then Dave Bush, who was the pitching analyst. Dave Bush was the Red Sox pitching coach before he got this job with the Rangers, and he was ultimately dismissed by the Red Sox. So it was his first go around. What has he learned since then? All that stuff. Jordan Teagues, if you're talking about guys who talk about the manager having player developmental roots, Jordan Teagues is all over Rangers PD and all these young guys who are coming up.
Yep.
Every young pitcher, starting with Jack Leiter, who and Cole Winn, have worked very, very closely with Jordan Teagues. So if they're going to go young on the pitching side with Leiter, obviously, and Winn potentially in a big role in the bullpen, Mar Rocker, Jake Latz, yeah, maybe. Although he's like 29 years old, but Mark Church, the guy who we keep forgetting about.
Yeah.
Robbie Alstrom, who everybody loved in spring training, a left-handed reliever.
Was he hurt all year?
No, he wasn't hurt. He pitched in AAA.
Just pitched in AAA. Okay.
Fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jordan Teagues would make some sense there, but is he ready to be a major league pitching coach? I don't know.
Yeah.
So anyway,
again, was Skip Schumaker ready to be a major league manager 3 years ago today when he hadn't managed a game?
Yeah.
So if anybody's going to take a chance on somebody or be inclined to, it's going to be a guy who had that same scenario facing him, in a very short time ago. But again, is there a relationship there too? I mean, I think that becomes really important with these guys too. Did you ever cross paths with him anywhere else to where you guys have a relationship? We know he did. I mean, we've talked about it. We know that Skip and Mike Maddox were on the same staff in St. Louis for a year in 2022, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the year before Skip got the managerial job. So, and they got along great. So, again, hopeful there. The others, first base coach Corey Ragsdale and third base coach Tony Beasley. No word on them yet, but those are important positions for a manager, and he's got to really trust those people. And again, they always do more than just coach the base, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
right.
Bees was the outfield
coach, and Corey did base running in the infield. and you're talking about a Rangers team that set the MLB record for fielding percentage in a season. If you want to talk about outfield play, how good has Wyatt Langford become in the outfield?
Unbelievable.
And who's been the outfield coach? Oh, it's been Tony Beasley.
Yeah.
The Rangers, with their success rate on stolen bases, Corey Ragsdale is the guy doing the research on the pitchers and time to the plate and all that stuff. So it'd be interesting, maybe if one of them, let's say Tony doesn't. Well, maybe Corey goes to coach third base and they get a new first base coach. So I'm not sure. There are a lot of ways to do this, and it would be interesting to hear why certain guys won't be back. If they're not back, it's interesting to know why Bobby Wilson isn't coming back, frankly. So we'll see as this thing shakes out. But we got to get this guy introduced.
Yeah.
And maybe they want to have all their catching ducks in a row.
Yep.
That's a possibility. Maybe they're just waiting for an off day in the playoffs, which is another possibility. It's a pain in the ass, but it's another possibility.
No doubt about it. And Natalie, to your point, we're going to get to catcher and right fielder and other positions of priority coming up in the next segment. For now, still chatting about these coaches who, unfortunately, we have learned, and this is a very, I can't speak to very many other organizations in this regard, Jeff, but it's a difficult thing to have your future just kind of, you're just uncertain. It's kind of hanging there.
Yeah.
And look, I lived it myself for a few years with not knowing whether Bally was going to be a thing or how it was going to play out or what are we going to do. And it's just this limbo is so annoying and it's unsettling and there's nothing fun about it. So, I do think that the Rangers are going to make quick decisions here, but I hope they do because there's nothing worse than sort of just hanging out there wondering, am I going to be back or do I? Because if I'm going to be back, I'm going to have a great off season, right? I'm going to start having fun. But if I'm not going to be back as a coach next year, well, then I got to start looking for another job. And it's a 100%. Completely different animal.
And October's kind of the month when all these things take place. I mean, there were, until the Rangers hired Skip Schumaker, there were 8 potential job openings, 6 for sure, and then 2 interim managers. There aren't a lot of jobs out there.
No.
And you want to have things lined up and call the people and we'll see what happens after the division series. If the Yankees get swept, are they going to move on from Aaron Boone? And what happens with the Phillies if they get swept?
Right.
Are there changes there? So I just think that now's the time. Let these guys know. Give them a chance to get their things in order so that if they have to, they do it, punch up a resume or something,
right?
That they're able to do it. And it's just the fair and professional thing to do. Now, today is October 7th. It's not October 31st, of course. That's where all the contracts are run through the end of October. But these guys don't wait that long. They get their stuff in order now because the longer you wait, the harder it is to get a job. And a lot of them need the jobs. I mean, Corey Ragsdale never played in the major leagues. He doesn't have a nest egg to fall back on. He needs the salary. Now Tony's been around for a while, so he's probably fine. But nevertheless, I would like the income.
Yeah, I don't think he's a guy who would retire. I think Maddox, if he didn't get the job, it wouldn't be far out of his mind from retiring. I'm not saying he wouldn't coach, but I wouldn't be surprised if Maddox retired. But I'd be shocked if Bees did retire if he's not back next.
Yeah, I spoke to him in Cleveland the last series of the year, and
Bees, this was.
I spoke to both of them. I spoke to Mike, and he indicated that he would definitely be willing to come back. Doesn't have a contract. Tony is such a I believe he's in his 60s now.
Is he? Okay.
And he's a cancer survivor, and that's great. And he probably, I think they would all like to go out on their own terms.
Of course.
You know,
Yeah,
but
everybody would.
I think Tony would be okay
If he had
if he had
rode
to
off into the
retire.
sunset. Yeah. Okay.
And so, and he, such a spiritual guy, and he does a lot, things in his church, and he and his brother have a logging company.
Yeah.
So he chops wood in the off season to stay in shape.
Busy.
These guys are gonna be okay. I think Bobby Wilson's gonna land a job here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would be shocked if he didn't. But it needs to happen for it's just the right thing to do.
It is. Yep. Sometimes you do the right thing just because it's the right thing to do. So it's time for that to happen. More coming up, and we get to Natalie's question about catcher and right field and other positions that must be considered as well. The player position priorities for Skip Schumaker and the Rangers' new staff coming up next on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
I can tell that more and more of you are becoming members of the supporters club because you have the cool little icons next to your name.
Yeah.
To our guy, and then you're able to flash the emojis, the cool new emojis. So here's what the supporters club is. It takes you to another level. Kat said that John and I are going to be doing a supporters club video here this week, and it's $5. It's $15. You get the emojis. But what it does is you become more and more of a sports nerd enthusiast. You get a bigger sports brain, and that's what we're here for. We want you to have fun, be smarter than everybody else, and C, be part of this wonderful place to work and a great cause. So become a member of our supporters club pronto.
Yeah, basically, you can say it, Jeff. What we're trying to create here is nerds. Lots of sports nerds, though, right? And sports nerddom is okay. It's cool. And, we want you to do that. And another way to get smarter about the sports that are happening in this area is subscribing to our newsletter. That baby is free. All you have to do is go to the bottom of our webpage, which is alldlls.com, and you scroll down to the bottom of that page, and you'll find a little box down there that invites you to subscribe to the newsletter. Again, it is free. All you need to do is supply your email address. And once you do that, you can be sure that you are going to get the in your inbox every day, the newsletter from written by Ali here, who's on our Cowboys beat, and it has all the news about what's happening with our team. So subscribe today. Okay. Player priorities, it's obvious. The very first two were the ones that Natalie mentioned are likely. We just looked, Jeff and I were looking at MLB trade rumors, who they use algorithms and stuff like that to figure out how much they think any given particular player is worth in arbitration. And when they used all those algorithms and all that stuff, probably AI got somehow involved in all that. It came back that Adolis Garcia, who's had 2 down years in a row and who made $9.75 million last year, will likely be, eligible and granted $12.1 million in arbitration this year. And that Jonah Heim, who made $4.75 million last year and has had 2 bottom of the league in OPS kind of seasons, would make $6 million. So he'd get a pretty sizable raise, as would Adolis. I like both those guys personally as human beings, but I'm not paying more money for either one of them to remain on my team, Jeff.
Yeah, I think you can get better value somewhere. You can't, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Yep.
So the Rangers have been fooled twice, so they can't make the same mistake. And I do like that. I want to use Kyle Higashioka kind of as the example.
Sure.
I think he's going to make 6.5 this year, somewhere around there. So basically making Jonah's salary or thereabouts, can you get another catcher for $6.5 million who be like
Yeah.
Kyle Higashioka? You probably can somewhere else, and maybe even a little bit less. Right field. Is this where a young guy comes in? Is this where Osuna forms the platoon with Hellman, or,
Sure,
something like
sure.
that? All possibility. I think Heim's best attribute is that he's been pretty durable. I know he got
Yes.
hurt 23. Joe is pointing that out. He did get that wrist injury. He didn't have the surgery that everybody thought he was going to have. He came back in August, played great down the stretch, played, caught every postseason game. Um, did okay off. Well, I don't know if you want to say okay offensively in the playoffs, but he hit a homer in the World Series. He hit the ball that Alec Thomas misplayed in the ninth inning of Game 5, and ended up scoring on the Simeon homer. So, but since then it's been steady decline. And the question is, that was his career year. Is that who Jonah Heim was, or was he more like the 22, 24 player? And I think the evidence bears out that he's not the 23 player.
Yeah.
So can you move on from that? Yeah, you probably can. Adolis, great defensive player, had the unbelievable year in 23, but again, you look at the numbers, it's 23 was the outlier. That's not who he is. Now, I don't think he's as bad as he was this year, but something's not right. And for $12 million, you don't want that in your
lineup. No.
No. And the defense and right field isn't that valuable. So, and again, when you're talking about the lineup makeup, there are too many of the same guy. And Jonah and Adolis are two of those guys.
Yes.
Swing too much, miss too much, and don't walk it.
Chase too much. Yeah. Chase way too much. So, yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, Adolis, it wasn't – did he get here in 21? Whatever year.
I think he was – I think
22.
he was in 20, but that was the weird year.
The weird year, yeah.
And then 21 was when Ronald Guzman got hurt playing left field in Tampa Bay early in the season. So he called up Adolis.
Yeah.
And he took off in that season. Became everybody's favorite. He's emotional and all that stuff. You didn't see that a lot this year, because didn't have a lot of opportunities to be that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think All About Sports Zone may be onto something. I don't want to blame Heim's wife, but he cut the hair, man. The Samson hair, right? There's strength like Samson in the Bible. Yeah, you gotta let him keep his hair. But anyway, that's got to be hot too. Hot playing that position and all that hair.
Yeah,
I don't blame him for cutting the hair.
Well, Tio is asking, what
about Jock? Yeah,
that's the
great question.
That's the $18.5 million question. That's what the player option is worth. He's not going to get it anywhere else, so it'd be insane to not accept it. He has some things to work on, starting with his body. But I don't know if the Rangers can move that contract.
Right.
I mean, it could be a situation where they say, all right, we'll eat 80% of it. Just, take $5 million of it. Maybe you could get somebody to do that. But, he's a platoon player. He can't play anywhere else. He can't really run. And if he's not hitting, then you've got an $18.5 million hole on your payroll. It just depends on, it's a big offseason. The word is that, and we didn't see this because we just saw the same guy. The word is he was really hard on himself, displeased with how he was performing. Well, then it sounds like you have a motivated player. Or do you? Has he made a lot of money? Is he going to want to put in the work to, get where he needs to be physically to be able to play and be effective? So we have to figure that out.
Yeah. We talked yesterday about the exit interviews, and you have to say those difficult things and make those difficult statements and challenges. And I'm certain we know for a fact there were plenty of people in the front office who didn't think that Jock could swing as he used to because of the, basically the size of his body. His body type had changed. And so they felt like that affected his swing directly. And I'm sure they had that conversation with him at his exit interview and said, let's go work on this.
Yeah.
We're giving you $18.5 million.
Yeah, it's I don't know if you have any like pride, you don't want to go out like this.
No,
right?
no. And he does.
And
he does.
It sounds like he does. It sounds like from what we were hearing, and he's not happy and all of this stuff. I understand that, and I appreciate that, but you gotta show it.
Yep, no doubt about that. So yeah, that's the other position. I wonder too, because again, the ideal scenario, I think, in the case of both Adolis and Jonah, would be to try to work a trade, with another team for either one or both of them to get anything. It's probably, in their case, prospects back. That'd be fine. You need the farm system restocked anyway. But I wonder if you can get a buyer for Jonah just based on, obviously he was really good, an all-star in 2020, the starter in the all-star game in 2023 and had the run. But, man, he's just literally been right at the bottom of the barrel of the entire league offensively in the 2 years that followed.
Yeah, it's the truth. And maybe, like after 24, they're like, well, we think we wore him out. Heavy workload, maybe less of Jonah will mean more production. Wasn't the case. So, and at that point, it's like, well, do we want this guy to continue to catch for us, frustrate us offensively and even defensively at times, or can we find something else that's better? You hate to see, honestly, as a fan, I'm assuming, you hate to see the 2023 team that did the unthinkable for a lot of fans and captured everybody's hearts and spirit and lifted all the baseball curses, whatever you want to say, see this team break up. You don't want to see it because they all had great moments.
Yeah.
But, it's what have you done for me lately business, and it's time to move on.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. From some of these guys, it just really is. That's the cold, hard reality of this game. And we've talked about this one before, too. Potentially there is some money savings, probably not a huge amount of money, but potentially there's some money savings in moving Marcus Semien, right?
Yeah.
That's a way bigger, trade to execute, I think. But, are you willing to eat a significant portion of the money that you still owe him 3 more years at $25 million a year, right?
Yeah.
26 maybe. And, are you willing to eat a large portion of that to save, I don't know, 10, 15 over the life of the contract? You're still saving money.
Yeah. Well, even would you eat half of what's left? If you think it's going to make you better, and if you can use the money you're saving to further your improvement, you consider it, I think. But I would also think that the more you would eat, the better player you'd get in return if it's a trade situation. So, that's something to look at. It's like, well, who needs a second baseman? Who needs a veteran guy who would be a good influence and all of that stuff? And so I think that they would listen to it for sure. I really do. And I think that they're probably, forget about listening, they might actually be looking into it, and considering the possibilities. The bullpen's the other thing, with all the guys who were signed to 1-year deals. I had forgotten, I suppose, that Jacob Webb will now go into arbitration, even though he had been non-tendered and the Rangers signed him as a free agent. He's still in the arbitration system, and they project MLB to trade rumors that he would make $2 million. I'd put him back for $2 million.
Heartbeat. Yeah.
And let's not forget about Josh Spores, who's still, I know he didn't pitch this year, but he's a guy who's supposed to be healthy, projected at $1.1 million.
Done deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Done deal.
So, I mean, that's cheap. It's somebody you believe in. So that's 2 of the 8 bullpen spots. Cole Winn, another one. All right, we like Cole Winn.
Is he arbitration eligible?
No, he's pre-arb.
Okay.
Mark Church. All right.
Yeah.
So then you gotta fill in 4 more spots.
Yeah. And who?
And Robert Garcia is back, so that's 5.
Yeah.
So you got to find 3 other guys. So you get Sean Armstrong back,
who wants to sign this month. Let's get that done.
Yeah, he said that.
Yeah.
So
and who else is? I know.
Okay,
Burger's
arbitration eligibles: Heim, Garcia, Spores, Webb, Haggerty.
Oh yeah, 1.4.
Josh Smith 3 projection, Jake Berger 3.5 projection, Duran 1.4 million projection, and then Josh Young 2.9 million.
Okay. All right. So there's your numbers. None of those are, other than the top 2. I don't think none of those are a reason to, cause pause within the organization.
Not financially.
I think those are all reasonable. So anyway, that's some of the players they'll be looking at, and some of the players we'll be talking a lot about in the coming days as all of this takes place. Of course, right now, what's taking place though is the Major League Baseball playoffs coming next. We talk a little bit about those. We talk about exactly what's happening around the American and National League Division Series next in our cleanup segment. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. Okay, so we have a bonus in our merchandise department today. It's the Ball Knower bonus. And you could get a shirt or anything. They'll match up to $250 for you. Ball Knower bonus. Buy, pick, and win. Now, what you have to pick is the winner. I think there's more than just one, but one of the options is pick the winner of the game this Sunday in Carolina between the Cowboys and the Carolina Panthers. And so all you got to do is pick the winner of that game, which is probably not as easy as it thinks, as it seems, but it seems easy.
Well,
anyway,
layup,
pick that. You get the coupon. You get the bonus. Whatever you buy, they give you a coupon for that. So say you bought 5 shirts. Well, you get a coupon for 5 more. 1 shirt, one more, whatever it is. So anyway, we love our merchandise. We love Ball Knower, and you have a chance to get that bonus through Ball Knower.
Yeah, I'm probably going to take advantage of that.
Why not?
Honestly.
Yeah.
Am I eligible?
I don't
As
know.
an employee or employees eligible? Well,
I don't know. We'll find out.
Maybe I'll donate it to whatever. And then, of course, Store.AllCity Network is where you find your merch, and you're going to want to go there to pick out your free shirt when you become a diehard. Are we still running our sales? Oh, well, jeez. Become a diehard and get this sweet hat that I am wearing on my head, $59 for 1 year, or $36 and a free T-shirt. It's like the best deal in our business. So much cheaper than the newspaper down the street or the one in Fort Worth that doesn't even cover the team anymore. We're where it's at. And if you want the best sports coverage, beat writer for every one of the 4 major professional sports teams, DLS is the only place to get that, and we're basically giving it to you for free. So become a diehard.
Appreciate it if you do that. And see, Joe dropped off. He's got to go back to work, but apparently Joe takes a late lunch break.
I like Joe
in order to hang out with us.
Joe's got a Facebook group where he's like I don't remember what it's called, and I apologize, Joe. Texas Rangers fans or something. He got a bunch of 20,000 people, and he keeps up with the roster numbers. That's kind of his passion. He has a whole database of past Rangers. So he's hoping Skip Schumaker gets 55. I think he's projecting Skip Schumaker, which was his old number with the Marlins.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Anyway, thanks, Joe, for hanging out and lots of chat today. We'll talk to him tomorrow and all of you for this segment about what's happening around the game of baseball. First and foremost, congratulations in order to the Seager family who had their baby yesterday. We've known all the way along through the season that Corey and his wife were expecting their first baby, in that beautiful bundle of joy. Camden Miles.
Yes.
Camden Miles. Look at the smiles on Mom and Dad's face. It's just fantastic. I love their love story. They're like high school
Yeah.
sweethearts, and now they're having their first baby. And I'll tell you this, man, dad's strength is real.
Yeah.
And he's a dad now, so he's going to be even stronger. Yeah, Mister, you're right. Congratulations to the Seager.
I'd implored him, and kept telling him, "Hey, Jeff's a great name," and his dad's name is Jeff.
Ah,
So I was thinking there was a chance at a Jeff Seager, but it doesn't matter. And then Cam, I saw on another of the posts there, checked in at 8 pounds 8 ounces. Corey was saying that in the weeks leading up to this moment, he was 10 pounds as a baby.
Corey was.
Wow. 10 pounds 3 ounces. Now Henry, my son, was 913, but 10-pound babies
that's big.
Are big.
Yeah.
God bless the mothers who deliver them. And so this is a good sized lad.
Yeah.
Cam. I'm going to call him Cam. I don't know if they're going to call him.
I imagine they will. Cam's that's a good nickname. I like that name. And anyway, congratulations to the Seagers. Now, no word on the Naylor baby. That would be Josh Naylor, who missed yesterday's workout with the team. He was given a personal day. His wife was in Arizona getting ready to have their first baby. And, the Dan Wilson said, yeah, we gave him a personal day, but there's no word. And Dan Wilson's already done his pre-game press thing, and there was no word. So we're just glad to have him back. So I don't know if the Naylors have a new blessed arrival or if there's a chance. Now, and he's in the lineup, Naylor, for today. But I don't know if maybe he won't be around tomorrow now.
It's pretty sad because I saw some comments that my buddy Ryan Divish with Seattle Times reposted about fans who are mad at Bo Naylor for choosing to be with his wife, his pregnant wife, for the birth of their child instead of with the team, saying, "Oh, he should have planned it better," and all this stuff. It's like, WTF, guys? I mean, give me a break.
Stop it.
This isn't the 1950s. And even into the 2000s, players didn't have the paternity list to go on. Those of you who have kids understand, this is a life-changing event.
The thing.
It changes everything.
It's the thing.
You don't want to miss it.
Nope.
And for people to be giving him crap for even considering missing a baseball game over that, you're out of your minds. So
go
to hell.
Yeah. The reality is, by major league rules, the collective bargaining agreement, let's say the baby's born tomorrow, and then there's another game Friday, he's eligible to miss tomorrow, Thursday, which is not a game day, and Friday.
Yeah.
And I can't say, again, if my wife is there in Arizona and the game, I guess the Friday game would be back in Seattle, but tomorrow's game is in Detroit. There's no way I'm probably taking my time,
Yeah.
And by the way, the Mariners could win the thing.
They don't need him he doesn't need to take BP on the day off.
No. So anyway, that's a little silly to give him any kind of grief for that. That's a heck of a game that they'll
rarities, have. I think he is a free agent.
Yes, he is. And in fact, somebody else in the chat earlier was saying, could the Rangers go get him to shore up first base? I don't. We've talked about this before. I don't think they're ready to give up on Jake Berger by any means.
Think so.
No, I don't think so either. I think they felt like there were some flashes. He figured it out a little bit, and then he just kept getting hurt. And by the way, we just mentioned it a little earlier in the show, but Miami traded for Jake Berger and he finished that season strong for them in the 2023 season when, that was the manager of the year for Skip Schumaker and all that stuff in their playoff run. So as short as it was. So anyway, I think there's also some, there's that familiarity between manager and players. So I don't think the Rangers are ready to make that move. Not this year, although Naylor, I would not mind having Naylor in the organization, and I don't think he's going to be a free agent that commands, huge money.
He is young. That's the one thing. He's not 30 yet. So that's kind of you're talking more than a couple year deal with him.
Yes, you are.
You know,
Yeah.
and he's hitting 30 home runs.
Yep.
Or has in the past. So you're probably looking at a longer term deal. I don't know if the annual
Yeah.
would be, but it'd be an investment.
Yeah, it would. You'd have to be committed, and I don't think the Rangers are in a position right now to make that commitment at first base. So anyway, that's that one. That's that game today in Detroit. It's the first one of the day. American League Division Series back on the plate today after yesterday was a National League day. Tigers and Mariners. It's freezing cold, and I say freezing. I mean, I think it's in the 50s, but it's been raining all day in Detroit, and it's windy and in the 50s. I've seen, I got 2 or 3 family members going, and they're all bundled up and, ready to bring in mittens and all that stuff. So not sure how cold it'll be. That doesn't really affect either team in a negative way. I don't think. Seattle's cold as hell in the spring, and Detroit's at least as
cold
bad.
As hell in July.
Yeah,
it
is. It is. So
I remember the Rangers in 2011 when they played the Tigers in the ALCS. It was definitely not baseball weather.
No.
And the
got rained. Did we get rained out one day?
We didn't get rained out, but we had a very long
delay. Yeah.
Yeah, and it turned at like a 4 p.m. start until like a 8 p.m. start, as I recall.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I might be making that up, but anyway, there were delays, and it was unpleasant.
Yes, very much so. And it could be very unpleasant. Luckily, it's day. That ended up being a night game, so it was even colder, but daytime today. So hopefully they'll be able to get that one in. And Jack Flaherty pitched really well in that clinching game against the Guardians in Game 3 of that series. He's back out there on the mound today, but so's your boy Logan Gilbert. So in that case, in this series, you'd have to say pitching nod as we look at the matchup, nod over to the Seattle Mariners. Ironically, in this series so far, the best pitcher, the guy you thought, you got to give it to them today, is lost, right?
Yeah.
Skubal obviously should get the nod in Game 2. They lost. And you're going to give the nod to George Kirby in Game 1, and they lost. So who knows? Can't necessarily base it on.
That's baseball.
That is baseball.
A couple notes. Hey, Gil, how's it going? Move Berger to third and trade Young to the Orioles for Adley Rushman. All right, let's see.
I wouldn't hate that.
And
Berger's played
enough
third.
To play third. He has played third, and early in the season when Josh Young was injured, Jake had his third baseman's glove ready to go, and I believe, not making this up, he took some ground balls there later in the season. Maybe it was just to knock the rust off or whatever, but he can play some third.
Yes, he can. So that's good. And so if you trade Young, you'd also have Smith to play third, says Bruce. The thing about Smith, his numbers have declined. So his on base numbers in particular declined in the second half the last 2 years. I think it speaks to when he does play every day, Jeff, he wears out. And a lot of guys do. I mean, there's no crime in that, but it may speak to that he is better, and he's proven he can do it, but he's better at just that utility role, where he's not required to play every day.
And we know he played through some stuff at times this year, and there's always that. I mean, everybody plays stuff.
Yes,
but I don't know. I think he's coming back.
Oh yeah,
we're not sure.
And I think Josh Young is coming back too. I see. We're only addressing it because Gil brought it up and others have too. And it's not. Look, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Almost anything's possible. Wyatt Langford being traded probably isn't. We said this yesterday. Jacob deGrom won't be traded. Nathan Eovaldi won't be traded. Jack Leiter, I think, might fall into that category, and possibly Kumar Rocker, but maybe not. And that's about it. I mean, everybody else would be fair game. If you're going to call me and say, I'd like your guy, I'm going to listen.
Sure. And if you're talking about trying to get something to help the big league club, like a reliever or catcher, maybe there's a trade there to have. And, Josh was disappointing this year. And again, dealt with some injuries that weren't catastrophic. So he was able to return, but something might be missing.
Yeah.
And we can get into that later. We have the whole offseason.
Yep. We got lots of time to talk about it. And we'll be here, and like we say, unless the press conference to introduce Skip Schumaker comes one of these next 3 days, we'll be here at 1 o'clock each of the next 3, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We'll be here talking Rangers and baseball with you on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.